Some places on Earth barely have laws, not because no one tried to enforce them, but because geography makes governing them nearly impossible. These are the places where governments lose control. The word lawless can be misleading. It doesn't always mean total chaos. In fact, many of these regions are very much controlled, just not by the recognized state. Instead, militias, powerful clans, criminal gangs, or local warlords often fill the vacuum, replacing the government's authority. These areas are known as ungoverned spaces. It's important to understand, this doesn't mean they are empty wastelands. They are simply unreachable or too difficult for a central government to effectively manage. Think of it as a zone where the state's reach is weak or non-existent, and other forms of power take over, providing their own version of order and justice. Geography is often the first and most formidable enemy of governance. Towering mountain ranges can block armies and halt the construction of infrastructure. Vast, scorching deserts can isolate entire towns, making communication and travel a monumental challenge. Dense, impenetrable jungles can hide illicit activities and conceal the movements of armed groups, making surveillance and pursuit almost impossible. And when the population is sparse, spread out over huge distances, the cost of enforcing laws, providing services, and maintaining a presence becomes incredibly expensive for any government. You can see this play out in the rugged mountains of Afghanistan, across the expansive deserts of the Sahel region in Africa, and deep within the Amazon rainforest. In these places, the very land itself resists control. When difficult geography combines with weak government institutions, state control completely collapses. Take Somalia, for example. After its central government fell in 1991, the country fragmented, with different regions falling under the control of clans and warlords, a situation that persists in many areas today. The Sahel is another prime example. The region is simply too large for the governments of countries like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to effectively patrol. Borders that look clear and distinct on a map become blurry, meaningless lines on the ground. These porous frontiers are easily crossed by smugglers, militants, and nomadic groups, making national security a constant struggle. The sheer size of the territory often dwarfs the number of available security forces, and the immense length of the borders makes complete enforcement a practical impossibility. So why do these places stay this way? It's rarely just one reason. Often, it's a mix of historical and political factors. Many of the national borders we see today were drawn arbitrarily by colonial powers, splitting ethnic groups and lumping rival communities together, creating built-in instability. Endemic corruption also plays a huge role, siphoning away resources that could have been used to build roads, schools, and police stations in remote areas. Faced with limited funds and manpower, many central governments make a pragmatic choice. They prioritize the cities and economic hubs where the majority of the population lives. This leaves the peripheries, the hard-to-reach edges of the country, to fend for themselves and develop their own systems of governance. The central state chooses efficiency over total territorial control. These so-called lawless spaces have a ripple effect that touches everyone. Global problems like piracy on major shipping routes, the spread of terrorism, international trafficking networks, and large-scale migration flows often originate in areas where government authority has broken down. But here's the most surprising part. For many of the people living in these regions, local rule isn't just a replacement for the state's an improvement. These local power structures, whether based on clan, tradition, or force, often provide a more immediate and predictable form of justice and security than a distant, corrupt, or non-existent central government ever could. Lawless places aren't accidents. They're the predictable result of geography, history, and politics. Thanks for watching.